Right. Good afternoon, good people. Once again, welcome to the grade 8 mathematics class, the 7th of July today. My name is Hendrik Makaneta, and we will look at some revision today so that we can prepare ourselves. Next week, we will probably continue with our assessments, and most of the assessments will be based on the work that we have covered up to so far. You will get your assessments in the form of assignments or tests and so on and so forth, or investigations as well. So please note that we are busy doing the revision work now based on the work that we have done up to so far. And of course, we are speaking here about the algebraic expressions, the equations, where we'll look at the examples and solve a wide range of variables. We have not done this yet. So the first things first is that when you solve an equation, you can either solve an equation by inspection or alternatively by using the additive or multiplicative inverse or inverses if there are two or more. In other words, when you are given an equation, you can just observe the equation. If you have to solve for a missing variable there, you can do that by inspection, or alternatively, you can use the additive inverse if you are using a positive or negative in the equation, or you can use the multiplicative inverse if it involves division and multiplication. Right, without any waste of time, our first equation is as follows. You have y plus 3y, which is equal to 5y minus 8. Now, as I've said before, you can do this by inspection. In other words, you can check what is the value of y, which will make equation to be balanced. In other words, what is that value of y which will make the left-hand side to be equal to the right-hand side? And in this case, you can see that it may look a bit complex to some. It may look easier to others. Now, if you cannot solve this equation by inspection, because at times it may not always be easy for you to solve an equation just by looking at the equation, then you can invoke now the idea of using the additive inverse, alternatively the multiplicative inverse, as we have just done, or as we have just indicated in the previous slide. Now, in this case, we have got the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So remember that any equation will have the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So what is important is that at all times, the left-hand side must always be equal to the right-hand side. At no stage should one of those sides be bigger than the other, unless you are now given the greater than, equal, or less than sign. But if you have the equal sign, then this means both the left-hand side as well as the right-hand side must always be equal. At all material times, they should be equal. So we are now solving the first one there. You have y plus 3y, which is equal to 5y minus 8. And then what we have done in this case is just to take the left-hand side and then, we group the like terms together. And then the like terms in this case are 3y and 5y. And then you can see we have taken the 5y from the right hand side to the left hand side. And then of course, remember that if you add y and 3y there, you get 4y. And then if you bring the 5y to the left hand side, it must definitely change the sign. Anything that you do, if you cross the equal sign, if you take a number from the left hand side into the right hand side, then it will change the sign. Even if you take it from the left hand side to the right hand side, or vice versa. So in this case, you can see that 4y minus 5y gives us a negative y, and then negative y is equal to negative 8. So negative y is equal to negative 8, and then y is equal to 8. That's how we solve the problem. This is how we solve the problem. So y is equal to 8. And of course, that will be the final answer. But now, in order to test whether your answer is correct or not, it is very important to go back to the original equation and substitute the value of y. So in this case, you can see the value of y is 8. And then in order to test, we can just put it in the equation, meaning that this y will become 8 now, plus 3 times, the y is 8, so it's 3 times 8. Remember, 3 times 8 is 24. And then 24 plus 8 is 32. So the left-hand side will be 32, whilst the right side will be 5 times 8 is 40, and 40 minus 8 is 32. So it should be very clear at this point that the right-hand side and the left-hand side are equal. Because if you substitute the value of 8, you get 32 in both instances. The left-hand side will be 32, and the right-hand side will also be 32. So I do hope that we are on board, all of us. Thank you very much indeed, Amokelang, and welcome once again. Right, we are now, I'm demonstrating just the second equation here. 8x minus 4 is equal to 2x plus 2. Once more, you are given an equation, and then it is very important for you to solve this equation in such a way that at the end of the day, your left-hand side will be equal to the right-hand side. And then 8x minus 4, this is equal to 2x plus 2. So once again, you just have to transpose the 2x from the right-hand side, and then you transpose that to the left-hand side. And of course, this will be 8x minus 2x. And you take the negative 4 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So you can see it will also change the sign. Negative 4, if you take it to the right-hand side, it will be positive. So you'll have 2 plus 4 on the right-hand side, and then 8x minus 2x on the left-hand side, so which is 6x. And then 6x will be equal to 6. So in order to find the value of x in that instance, you can now see that if you multiply 6 by 1, you'll get 6. And then if you divide both sides by 6, that is okay, because whatever you do in the left-hand side should be done also in the right-hand side. So if you divide 6 by 6, you definitely get 1, meaning that your x value there will be 1. And then you can now use the 1, you can substitute that in the equation. In other words, you can take the same 1 here, And then you can substitute it in the original equation there, where in order to test whether the two are equal, whether the two equations are equal. So how do you put the 1 in the equation? Very important. 8 times 1 is 8, and then 8 minus 4 is 4. And then the left hand side is now 4. And then let's check the right hand side. X is 1, so you'll have 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 plus 2 is 4. So once again, it is clear that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side, which is 4. Right, Lesedi, thank you very much indeed. Let us go to the next one. And of course, the next one there is we need to solve for x. Let's solve for x. And then, of course, we are given 3x is equal to 45. I see Natalie there just wrote 30 times 12. I'm not so sure which one are you responding to, Natalie, or could it be the previous one? Let's carry on. We are now solving for x. We have 3x is equal to 45. And then once again, in this case, we just have to solve. Tyrese has already solved that, and Natalie has also done so. You say that the value of x is equal to 15, and I fully agree with you. You can tell, I'm sure, even by inspection, that if you multiply 3 by 15, rather, you get 45. And then that means you can do it by inspection. Lesedi as well got the correct answer there, which is 15. So 3 times 15 is 45. So you can tell just by inspection. Alternatively, you can just divide both sides by 3. 3x divided by 3 is x. Then 45 divided by 3 is 15. So perfect. Then the answer there will be 15. So you can see that our answer is 15. Thank you very much indeed, Therese. Right, we have an equation here. I just want us to solve these equations. We have about 3 of those, which I've just taken. Yes, Leslie is correct. All 45 divided by 3, yes. All 45 divided by 3. Now here are 3 equations which I want us to solve. I hope that you have a pen and a paper with you. We have 2x plus 5, which is equal to 23. That is the first equation. And then the next one, 3x minus 5 equals 16. The last one is 5x minus 60 equals negative 5. So what I want us to do now is to solve for x. So I can see Daniel has already, in fact, Cesar has already solved for x, and she found that the value of x is 9. The same goes for Daniel. I see Daniel has transposed positive 5 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. Now you have 2x is equal to 18. So Therese as well has just, together with Cesar, in fact, had done it privately now. She put it to everyone, the answer. She had put it to me as 9, but now I see you have put it to everyone as 9. So you are correct. 8.1 is 9 there. And Tlantla as well. Thank you very much indeed. And Tlantla, you also got the correct answer. But I will also appreciate just to see, just as Daniel did, you can see Daniel has transposed the 5, and then I can see where does he get the x from. So 2x is equal to 18. So by inspection, you can see that if you multiply 9 by 2, you will definitely get 18. So thanks, Daniel. That is the correct answer there. I hope that others are also able to find the same answer, which is 9. Let's say as well says 2x is equal to 18, and then divided by 2 is equal to 9. So 9 is x, the same as x equals 9. Thank you very much indeed, Lesedi. We are now proceeding to the next one, which is 3x minus 5 is equal to 16. Natalie is the first to say that she found an answer there. Natalie got 13. Cesar got 7. Therese got 7 because you have divided 21 by 3. All right, Natalie, I can see that you acknowledged the mistake. Amokhelang also got 7, and then Ntlantla also got 7. But I see Ntlantla says 13 is equal to 7. Oh, so you wanted to say x, right? X is equal to 7. Thank you for rectifying that. And then Lesedi as well has taken 3x, which is now equal to 21. So it is clear that Lesedi has transposed the -5 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So if you take -5 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, you will definitely have 16 plus 5, and then 16 plus 5 is 21. And then if you divide 21 by 3, you will definitely get 7. I think that is what Lesedi has done in as far as the second one is concerned. So without any waste of time, we are now going to proceed to the last one, which is 5x minus 60. Natalie, once again, is the first one to do the problem. And I see that you are saying that 5 multiplied by 13 will give you, and then if you minus 60 there, you'll get 5. So your value is 13 there. Natalie, I see Therese got 11. Daniel also got 11. Now, Amohelang also has 11. Right, thank you very much indeed. So I will just do that. All right, let me give Natalie a chance. I see your hand is up. Let me just give you a chance, Natalie, so that you can speak. You can just proceed, Natalie. If you are still there, Natalie, you can just unmute and proceed. Right, I see that Therese is back. All right, thank you, Natalie. I've just seen your message on the group chat. Lesedi as well got 11. So most of you got 11. But now we are just going to test just to mark your work. I see that many of you are quite active in the group chat. So let's quickly mark your work. Right, without any further delay, we have 2x plus 5, which is 23. And then basically you have now shown that 2x plus 5 is 23, and then you can transpose the 5 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And then, of course, this definitely shows that, you know, if you subtract 5 from 23, you get 18. So this is the one that was done by Daniel at length, and then 2x is equal to 18. So you can see x is, it's a 9 there. And then I see this says that you actually got 18,3 instead of 11. I see that you have now changed your answer there. And then the second one, of course, is the one that we have just done now, just to demonstrate that if you transpose -5, if you take -5 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, you will get a positive. So 16 plus 5 If you add those together, they will give you 21. And then if you divide 21 by 3, you will get 7. So the final answer there is 7. And that will be the answer, the H value. The last one that we have just done now, Lisedi, I see you have the correct answer there, which is 11. And I hope everyone else, I see you also got 11. So how do you find 11? Natalie, I hope you can see that as well. The 11, we got it from multiplying, or in fact dividing 55 by 5. You'll recall that the equation was 5x minus 60. So if you transpose the negative 60 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, it will change the sign. It will be positive. So 60 minus 5 is 55. And then at this point, you can just simply divide both sides by 5. So if you divide 5x by 5, you will get x. And then if you divide 55 by 5, you'll get 11. So x is equal to 11. Right, x is equal to 11. So now I'm giving you a different one, a different challenge. We have 7x plus 3, which is equal to x plus 21. Once more, very important, you can simply, yes, I agree with you, Natalie, you divide by 5. Do you divide by negative 5? Why do you say negative 5, Natalie? In the previous one, let's see. Remember the 5x is positive, Natalie. The 5x, we have 5, which is positive there. The coefficient is positive. You can see as we start, right as we start the equation, the only negative 5 is on the right-hand side. And so once you, or you see, that's how you got 11, all right, because of the negative 5. Yes, of course, because of the negative 5. I'm with you. So because of the negative 5, then that's how you got 55, yes. You got, and that's how you ultimately get 11, because then it means you divide 55 by 5, right? And then the next one, again, you can just see the actual equation there. And like I said, you know, you are welcome to solve it even by inspection. You can see that if you were to do this by inspection, 7 times 3 is 21, 21 plus 3 is 24. And then 7 plus 21 is 24. I mean, sorry, 3 plus 21 is 24. Now, the reason why most of you may not do it by inspection is because sometimes or at times the equations may be complicated. So you need to apply your mind just to solve for the variable. So in this case, just know the basic principles of collecting the like terms, as this will go a long way to assist you right? Let us, we are just going to proceed. So you can see how we have done that. And then of course, this simply means you can simply let us make sure that, and then of course we can succeed if we do so. Alternatively, we can just simply ensure that we transpose the tray, solve our problem. Right? Let us do so. So that's how we ensure that we solve our equation. So the unknown is very important that you solve for the unknown. And then of course, take you back to the next one, which is a different problem altogether. You've got 11x minus 7, and this is equal to 6x plus 3. So again, here, all that you need to do is just to make sure that you solve for x. And the only way to do this is to use our method that we've used up to so far, where you must just transpose, or rather, yes, transpose the negative 7 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And thereafter, the x, and then you can collect the like terms. So remember that the like terms, very important, 6x must be taken to the right-hand side, and then of course, 11x minus 6x is 5x, and then 3 plus 7 is 10, and then you can divide both sides by 5. So x is 2, right? Now, if you want to test whether your answer is correct, you simply take it back to the equation. In other words, you can just multiply 11 by 2, which is 22. 22 minus 7, and then it will give you 15. And then the other one, again, 6 times 2 is 12, and then 12 plus 3 is 15. So you can see that the left-hand side and the right-hand side are equal. So the left-hand side will be equal to the right-hand side. So without any waste of time, I just want us to solve for x in these equations. Not just x, but x and y. So I just want us to solve for x in the following equations. So not just x, but also y. So the question should be solve for x and y. I'll just give you 30 minutes just to do that, maybe the first one, and then we can look at the answers. Let's solve for x, and then let's take it from there. Right, Therese, we can carry on. The first one, we need to find the value of y. By the way, you can do this even by inspection if you can. You can do this by inspection. 5y minus 8 is equal to 20. 5y minus 8 is 20. Five y minus 20. 5y minus 8 is 20. And then you can just demonstrate, just to find the value of y. So you can see that in the first instance here, if you now have to calculate the value of y, you will have to check that the left-hand side must be equal to the right-hand side. So the first things, you need to transpose the negative 8 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So it will be 8 plus 20 there, which will be 28. It will probably be a fraction, the first one. So if you don't have a fraction, then it means there's something that you have done wrong. It should be a fraction. So let us just use that thoroughly. Can we solve? All right, let's see. Daniel has done that. Therese as well says 28 over 5. I agree with you, Therese, 28 over 5. Lesedi says 5,6. I fully agree with you, Lesedi there. 5,6 is the correct answer. Daniel also has found 5,6 because you have now 5y, which is equal to 28. So yes, if you divide 28 by 5, you will get 5,6. So Cesar as well says 5,6, great. And then, of course, if you want to test it, you can just put it back into the equation, and then you can solve that. And once you solve it, you'll see that you will definitely get 20 in the left-hand side. You'll get 20. So in other words, if you multiply 5 by 5,6, you'll get, you can see that you are going to get 28 there, and then if you minus 8, you'll be left with 20. So 5 times 5,6 will give you 28. If you don't get 28, then it means something is wrong. And then 28 minus 8 is 20. So the left-hand side is balanced with the right-hand side. So that is that. So can we now proceed to the next one? 5y plus 20 is equal to 35. Now that 5y plus 20 is equal to 35. Can we now solve for the equation? I see that most of you have already done so. Therese says that B is 3. And then, of course, Natalie says Y is equal to 5. Cesar also got 5. Daniel has demonstrated now that he also got 5. Even Lesedi got 5. I fully agree with both Lesedi and all of you. Amohelang also got 5. Right, the manner in which you proceed with it, again, it means you will just take the 20 and then you take it to the right-hand side. And remember, once you take the positive 20 from the right-hand side from the left-hand side, in fact, to the right-hand side, you are bound to now change your sign, and the sign will be negative. So in other words, you will have 35 minus 20. And if you say 35 minus 20, then you'll be left with 15. And of course, if you divide 15 by 5, you'll get 3. So I don't know how did you get the 5, but I got 3. I got 3. Oh, I see some of you are already doing 5, which is for C. I can see the difference now, because I thought that you are still talking about B. Right? Can we now proceed to C? Most of you found 5, and then Daniel got is already at D, where you found 7. But now we've just solved a B now, just to demonstrate. Sorry. And then C, it should be clear now at C there that you transpose the 7, or which is the negative 7 rather, from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. Once you have done this, you will see that 93 plus 7 will give you 100. And if you divide 100 by 20, you will get 5. So the answer there is 5. I fully agree with you. and that is C. Can we stretch D and see what happens there? Let me go back to the group chat just to interact with you there. In the group chat, I see that Lesedi got 7 for D, and it appears to be correct. Daniel is already at E. Natalie, I see you say 11. Okay, you are at E as well. Natalie got 1. And then Natalie, you got 1. But now let's see, Natalie, if you substitute the value of 1, will you get the left-hand side to be equal to the right-hand side? Because if you say 11 times 1, then it means you are going to have 11, and then 11 plus 55 will give you 66. Just double check that, Natalie. I just saw your work. Now Tyrese as well is there. He got 2. I think I will agree with Tyrese. I will also agree with Lesedi. Amohelang as well. Natalie, I'm glad that you have seen the mistake there. Please correct that mistake. And then, of course, in D, just before we can go to wrap up with E, let me proceed now to D. You can see that in D, we have 5 open bracket x minus 7, which is equal to 0 now. And then someone said 7 is the correct answer, which in my view it is. In any case, even if you were to divide both sides by 5, you will get x minus 7, which is 0. So x is equal to 7. Perfect. And then if you were to take it back and just check whether it is the correct answer, then you will see that it is correct, because 7 minus 7 is 0. And then 0 times 5 gives you 0. The last one, 11x plus 55 is 77. And then I see Lesedi says D was a bit longer. Okay, Lesedi, I understand what you say. Yes. Alternatively, you can break the bracket. Yes, there are too many ways to do this. Alternatively, you can break the bracket. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 7 is 35. So thereafter, you transpose the negative 35 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And then you will see that it will be positive. And then if you divide 35 by 5, you'll get 7. Either way, as I always say in mathematics, there are always different ways or different methods that you can apply to solve for missing variables, just to solve for x or y or any other variable. And then, of course, the last one should be easy. Even by inspection, as I was speaking to Natalie now, just by inspection, you can see that if you multiply 11 by 2, then you get 22. And then if you add 22 and 55, you get 77. So this will balance the equation, being the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So the equation will be balanced. What is important is that at all material times, your equation should balance. So as long as you have your equation or the equal sign, then the equation has to definitely balance. Just to wrap up my lesson today, I want to indicate that you must never forget that every time when you solve for equations, you can do this either by inspection or by using the additive or multiplicative inverse. This is one of the most important principles when we solve equations in mathematics. And of course, we have looked at the equation there where we were able to solve for y. And then by inspection, if you cannot do it by inspection, it means your equation may be a bit complicated, and then you may need to now use the additive inverse or the multiplicative inverse. Like we have done in this case, we said that y plus 3y is equal to 5y minus 8. And then we have transposed the 5y from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. And then once you do this, you'll see that the left-hand side will be 4y. Remember, you might as well add the y and the 3y to get 4y. So 4y minus 5y will be negative 8. And remember that if you multiply or if you subtract 5 from 4, you always get negative 1. Therefore, 4y minus 5y gives you negative y. And then if negative y is equal to negative 8, then you can multiply both sides by a negative, and then y will be equal to 8. So I hope that this equation makes sense. And then we've also looked at the other equation, which in its own must balance the left-hand side together with the right-hand side. And as you can see, our x value there was 1. Remember, you can always test. It's very important. I don't recommend that you test during the exam or during a formal test. But in your when you do investigations or assignments or class activities, I recommend that you test your answer, because at least you will have enough time to look at the activity. But in an exam, you may not always find you may not have always have the luxury of time, as the exams are strictly put for either 2 hours or less. So learn and practice as you can before the exam, just to make sure that you balance the equation. And as I said, some equations, in my view, are, you can apply the method of, just observing, just by inspection, like the equation that we have now, this solve for x. You can see we say 3x is equal to 45. By all means, you can just multiply 3 by 15, and then you'll get 45. You can see that if you multiply 3 by 15, you'll get 45. So this is what we mean when we say that you can solve it by inspection. It means you are not going to use the multiplicative inverse or the additive inverse if you have. You can just by checking analyzing the equation, you can actually deduce that 3 multiplied with 15 will give you 45. That is what we have, and that is the answer that we got. And then we have also done this equations where you also had to add. And if you can, even in this equation, if you can do it by inspection, then good. If you can see that 18 plus 5 is 23, then that's fine. Then it means you can put 9 in the x, because 2 times 9 will be 18. So 18 plus 5 is 25. We've done 3x minus 5 minus, yes, 3x minus 5 equals 16. And then we found that the value of x is 7. And the same goes for this activity, which looked a bit different. It's also very important. So sometimes some of the people may struggle when there's a negative 5, because always make sure that you don't make the mistake of adding the 2. Remember, a negative sign, and then once you take out the negative 16 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, it will be positive. So 60 minus 5 is 55. And lastly, we have looked at these equations as well. Uh, and of course, the most important thing there is to balance your left-hand side and the right-hand side. By the way, this is part of the revision work that I spoke about in the beginning of when I started my lesson. And then you can just make sure that you practice as many as possible equations, because they will definitely be in next week's activities or next week's assessments. This lesson was brought to you now by the STEM Digital School in partnership with the Sasol Foundation. Until we meet again tomorrow, thank you very much indeed.
Mute.